Alrighty, good afternoon, everybody from Boys and Girls Clubs of Albany in Albany, Georgia. I know I'm a little bit of a different face today. My name is Anna Bajano, and I am the regional director of programs and impact for Boys and Girls Clubs of Albany. Mr. Dontravius Simmons, who y'all are probably used to seeing on our live stream, is not able to join us today, so he's passed the baton to me. And we are very lucky because today in our College Talk series, part of our Teen Career on Wheels, we have Alyssa Orantia Bename from Cornell University, who's going to tell us a little bit about Ithaca and Cornell and all it has to offer. So, Alyssa, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. It's such an honor. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, absolutely. So to get started, I mean, why don't you give us kind of that bird's eye view of Cornell? Tell us where it is, the specs, what we should know that really sets Cornell apart.
Well, yes. So once again, my name's Alyssa, and I actually attended Boys and Girls Clubs programming when I was a youth in Oxnard, California. So I am so excited to be here with everyone today. I think it made a huge difference in my life, and I don't think I would be here today without it, the mentorship and the preparation I got there and the support. So now I live in central upstate New York with my family, and I work as an associate director of admissions and coordinator of diversity outreach for Cornell University. It's an awesome place to be. And Cornell actually was founded in 1865. It's an old school, like many you may be considering, but something that sets it apart is that from the very start, its founder, Ezra Cornell, wanted Cornell to be a place for any qualified person, regardless of their background or their finances. And so from the very beginning, he said, I would found an institution where any person can find instruction in any study. So the second part of that awesome, equity-focused founding is that he would offer any area of study from the beginning. So rather than only offering like a limited kind of type of academic coursework kind of schedule, he offered things like electrical engineering, hotel management, things that were really cutting edge for the time. And so today, Cornell still has that legacy of that access and diversity, and then also of this amazing breadth and depth of offerings. So, if a student comes to Cornell and they realize, oh, I also have a passion in this other subject, there's flexibility to pursue all the different things they want to pursue. Obviously, within reason, you don't want to take like 10 years to graduate, but there are 4,000 courses offered each year. There are 8 undergraduate colleges and schools. You choose one of them when you apply. And if you're admitted, you make that your home. If you come to Cornell, that's like your launching pad. And then you can take classes across the university. You can minor across the university and just meet people and do activities all across the university. So you really get the best of like everything that is there. Those are a few things. Ithaca, New York is our college town. It's been named a top college town several years in a row. We're located in the Finger Lakes region of upstate New York. We're about 3.5 hours from New York City and the same distance from Philadelphia. Just about any direction you drive, there's a major city. Even Toronto, Canada is not that far. But we are in a more like kind of small city, rural area. However, it's called the Little Apple because it's like a chunk of New York City. So you have the awesome things like the open, beautiful, distant views, the rolling hills, waterfalls, lakes, streams, wildlife. But then you also have this awesome, funky little college city that gears everything toward college students. So basically the population doubles in size with the college students from Cornell and from Ithaca College and also a local residential community college. Everything doubles in size, and all of the events, festivals, restaurants, everything caters to students. And so it's really a very interesting, unique place to attend college.
Very cool.
In a nutshell, there's more, but I'll answer questions as we go.
No, absolutely. It sounds like there really is a lot to do, not just on campus, but also off campus. And you describing Ithaca to us here in Albany, Georgia, we're a little bit the same. We're not too far from some major cities, but we are also kind of a rural type town here in Southwest Georgia. So I could definitely see some similarities between Albany and Ithaca if we have some members who are maybe interested in heading up to New York for school. So, so I guess tell us a little bit about what a freshman might expect. Say an incoming freshman who is interested about Cornell, or has recently been accepted to the school, what types of things should they know coming in?
That's a great question. So first of all, once again, they'll know that they're coming into one college or school within the university. So they're going to have a smaller community within the larger university that is Cornell. They're also going to live with all of the other first-year students from all across the nation, 50 different states, and also 120 countries overall are represented on the campus. So they're going to have multiple students of multiple different locations and backgrounds and interests, viewpoints that they're living and learning with that first year in befriending. And so that's a big part of the first year experience, is being a part of that North Campus living and learning community. Of course, they'll also make friends with other class levels and be able to engage with the rest of the campus, but we really focus on integrating first years into the community gradually, making sure that they have their community with all the resources they need. There's even something called the TAPCon Center, which is open most of the time, and it's manned and women by upperclassmen and women who are there as mentors, tutors, and so on. That's right there on North Campus. You've got community centers on North Campus where you have your mail, your food, which is number 3 in the country, by the way. Awesome university food. And then clubs and organizations have meetings up there, events. So you've got that kind of nice balance. You kind of are kind of embraced as you come in before you get launched out into this like amazing, limitless community of opportunities. Of course, we have all 4 seasons here, so that will be a big change for Georgians or anyone else from a warmer climate. I myself, once again, I'm from Southern California. I've lived in Florida. I've lived in Texas, Dominican Republic. So I'm like, if I can adjust, my husband's from the Dominican Republic, if he can adjust and not complain, you can do it. But you do have to be kind of aware of that coming and be sure to, get yourself some boots and a coat, layers. And there's ways to do that economically. There's a lot of secondhand shops. I'm a big fan of secondhand shopping. So just FYI, you do not have to spend a lot of money for winter clothing. Also, it's a competitive environment, but it's a supportive environment. Something to know is, you may be the top student or close to the top student in your current school. You're going to be coming to a school with a lot of amazing, bright minds, but people overall are very humble and collaborative. It's a place where you can ask for help. There's a learning strategy center. There's an Office of Academic Diversity Initiatives. They specifically support underrepresented and first-gen students in their academic success, and even preparing for graduate school and professional school. There's tons of support here. It's not a cutthroat environment, but you do need to be prepared for the rigor, because it's going to be even that much more challenging than your high school. But at the same time, you also have tons of opportunities to let loose, decompress, have fun. There are over 1,200 student-run clubs and organizations on campus. So like alongside this amazing, vibrant academic environment, you have this other world, like parallel world of clubs and organizations of everything you can imagine. There's even like a blue M&M club, a squirrel watchers club, people watching the squirrel watchers club. There's a hammock club. I saw people actually hanging out in hammocks. I was like, wow, I would love to do that. They were probably studying part of the time, but they were still hanging out in hammocks on the arts quad. So like there's sports. We have the largest intramural sports program in the nation. There's a lot of opportunity to have fun and de-stress, as well as work really hard and prepare yourself for amazing opportunities for grad school and beyond. So those are a few things of the many, but good things to know before you come.
Yeah, absolutely. So, if you could tell us a little bit more about those kind of 8 different, schools you said that they are within Cornell that students would then kind of feed into to be a part of the greater university.
Definitely. Thank you. That's a great question. So it's a part of that any person, any study founding philosophy. We have just about everything under the sun here. And all of the programs are excellent. And they're the top professors in their fields, actually working in industry and teaching. First things first to know is that regardless of the size of the college, most of the classes are small. So you'll get a lot of one-on-one attention with professors, office hours, research opportunities with professors. They also live on and near campus and mentor and advise student groups. So they're very much a part of the lives of students. And grad students are outnumbered 2 to 1, actually 3 to 1 by undergraduates. So you really are the stars on campus. So first
And
things first.
I'm sorry to interrupt. What are some of those class size ratios?
Yeah, so the majority of classes, like 73%, have fewer than 30 students.
Oh,
So
wow.
the larger classes are your intro bio, intro, English comp. Even those actually now, in light of COVID-19, are being eliminated. We're never, I don't believe, ever going to go back to having large lecture halls. Those classes may be offered more in like a Zoom kind of environment or in smaller kind of subsections. So I imagine things becoming more intimate, partly because we want them to be, but also because we have to because of social distancing. So yeah, so the College of Arts and Sciences is the largest undergraduate college at Cornell. It's your traditional liberal arts and sciences college, which is all about studying this like Renaissance man or woman's education of taking humanities classes, math, science, kind of the full spectrum in addition to your major. So you learn to kind of problem solve and research and make connections between different areas of study. So if that's your thing, you definitely want to aim for that. Not that you can't do sciences in that college, but that really is more kind of the life of the mind and finding connections. So arts and sciences. Then you have CALS, so it's agriculture and life sciences.
Okay.
All about using the life and social sciences to solve world problems. So they have programs like environmental engineering, landscape architecture. There's a lot of different, there's like 24 different majors to choose from, but it's all about solving problems. A lot of it is like actually having to do with sustainability as well, and public health, things like that. Then you have the College of Engineering, which has 14 different major options, including biomedical, which is the newest, a few years old. And the great thing about that college is you do not have to declare your major coming in if you don't want to. Let's say you like a lot of different types of engineering and you want time to explore, you can come in as undeclared. The College of Business actually has 2 tracks. One is Applied Economics and Management, which is your traditional business admin major. And the other is Hotel Administration, which is not just about running hotels. It's actually at its core a business program, an accredited business program, but it's really focused on service. So it could be hotel, it could be restaurant, it could be real estate. You could even be working in a corporation, ultimately a traditional like financial corporation, but with a lens toward people and service. We also have an amazing College of Industrial and Labor Relations, actually called the School of Industrial or Labor Relations, because it only has one major, Industrial and Labor Relations. And you may not have ever heard of that because it's actually the only undergraduate school of its kind in the country. Most programs in ILR are at the graduate level. What it's all about is people and policies in the workplace, unions, human resources, conflict transformation, sports management, government. People do go on into government and law and traditional business, but it's more the people focus with that. The College of Human Ecology is unique. It's all about enhancing the human life experience. So it has different lenses. So there are majors like global and public health sciences, policy analysis and management. There's healthcare policy, which is a new major there, and things like fashion design and management, fiber science. So everything from like what we wear to what we sit on to health policy, everything about human life and enhancing services and policies and just the life experience of human beings. The College of Architecture, Art, and Planning is tiny, but it has a big impact. It houses our 5-year professional architecture degree, our Bachelor of Fine Arts, and our Bachelor's in Urban and Regional Studies, otherwise known as City Planning, for those that may want to go on and impact change in a physical way, like actually building cities, or just solving problems facing urban communities, like economic development issues and so on. I think that's like 7. Sometimes I lose track because there is so much here. Let me just take note because I do not have a form in front of me. AAP, engineering.
Yes, I think you did cover all 7 because I was taking notes myself.
Yes, and business is really 2 in one. So.
Yes, you really have such a diversified program, and it sounds like, really there is something for everyone at Cornell. So very cool.
And there's pre-health advising, by the way, if anyone, or even pre-law, pre-business, you don't have to, and students may or may not know this, you don't have to major in, for instance, biology to go on to medical school. You could be a music major and take your math and science courses with your pre-health advisor's guidance and go on and be prepared for medical school, for instance. And so that's just something important to know. It doesn't have to be this straight path, or you don't have to do what you think you're supposed to do to go to that next step. There's quite a bit of variety and different paths that you can take, and a lot of support.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds like it. And with all of those program offerings, I mean, it's so diversified. I'm interested to see if, the diversity that you have in your programming is also reflected in your student body. I know that you were telling us that there are students from all 50 states. I want to say you said 120 countries as well. Could you tell us a little bit more about the diversity of the student body, and I guess some of the numbers in relation to students who come from in-state versus out-of-state, and
Yes,
a little bit more info on that, please, Alyssa.
definitely. Thank you for asking. So we're always pursuing that any person, any study mission and its fulfillment, and it's a constant work in progress. We can always do better. So when we talk about diversity, we're not just talking about underrepresented minority students or people of color, although that's very important to us. We're also talking about first generation college students, rural students, students of all different worldviews, sexual orientations, religions, and so on. So it's really that variety that really makes Cornell, because even though it's large, we're intentional about making sure students can integrate and kind of commingle and just get to know one another. There's really nothing stopping that from happening. We don't have these barriers up or silos academically or otherwise. So it's really awesome because the sky's the limit in terms of the friendships you can make, the research partners you can find, the future colleagues that you can work with and encourage and be encouraged by. And so, but statistically, we're over 50% students of color, about 15, actually it's 17% of our students overall in the student body are first generation college. About half are lower middle income, and we can always do better with that. We have the funding. It's a matter of attracting and admitting students of lower and middle income backgrounds and funding them well. Lower income students, of course, are very well funded. We're working on middle income, making sure that we can fund them well, because we don't offer merit scholarships. So we can't offer here's a presidential scholarship for an additional $10,000. But of course, financial aid depends on everyone's circumstances as well. So I would love to talk more about that. I never want a student ever to run away screaming when they look at our tuition and fees, because the reality is that institutions that are highly selective tend to have excellent financial aid. It's need-based, and we have the funds to fund students. So please let me know if you have further questions about financial aid. But yeah, it's, different states, different backgrounds, different interests. And it's really, there's no profile of a typical student, because our students come from such a variety and intersectionality when it comes to diversity. I hope that kind of gives you a sense. I know in-state, out-of-state was the other question. About a third of our students are New Yorkers. 3 of the 8 colleges and schools actually are contract colleges as a part of, we are the land grant university of the state of New York, and now really on behalf of the world, because the knowledge we give back actually impacts, and the service impacts not just New York State, but nationally, internationally. However, we do have a commitment to New Yorkers in those 3 colleges. Some of them are really bent on admitting half of their class from New York State. But that may change, and it's not that you're necessarily at a disadvantage if you're not from the state.
Okay, good to know. Yeah, you already mentioned it, so I do have to, dig a little bit deeper. Here in Albany, our cost of living is pretty low. We tend to be one of the lower socioeconomic parts of the state. So I know that cost is something that is frequently on our minds here in Albany, especially as we travel outside of the state. So please elaborate a little bit more on some of those financial aid opportunities and what can make the Cornell experience a little bit more affordable for our teens.
Definitely, great question. Thank you for asking it. So at Cornell, we do not offer merit scholarships because we're part of the Ivy League, and that's a compact with all of the Ivies that we're not going to go head to head, on students. I mean, all of our students that we admit are amazing, and so it'd be like splitting hairs, who's more amazing if we were to give merit scholarships. So we don't do that for academics or athletics, but we have very generous need-based financial aid. So what happens is, in the application process for admissions, we don't look at your finances at all. We're need blind. And the reason we're need blind is we want to be a completely fair and equitable. We don't want a student's finances to impact our decision whether or not to admit them. And also we have amazing funding. So we don't need to be so careful when we're looking at who we're admitting with regard to finances. So for instance, a student whose family makes $60,000 or less would have 0 loans in their package. So basically everything in the package would be Cornell grant funds that are not needing to be paid back, and federal funds as well. And then from there it goes up incrementally, and it's really dependent on circumstances. But students from lower income backgrounds get tremendous packages, oftentimes that don't, like, they basically blow out of the water local, more public state university packages. And I don't mean that. I know there's tremendous, like especially in Georgia, amazing public universities, but a lot of times we can do better because of our endowment and our funding and our policies around, especially around low income students, financial aid. So that's just kind of a nutshell. There's great information on our website. And we also have a financial aid officer on my team that's awesome. She is very well versed in supporting underrepresented, low-income, first-gen students and families in their process of applying to aid. We actually also do a lot of outreach throughout the senior year for the applicants to ensure that they're aware of what's coming up and paperwork that's needed, and so on and so forth. So we really do walk alongside families in that process.
Yes, that's great. And we definitely know that it can be a big shift from going to your senior year of high school to your freshman year of college, not just in terms of academic rigor, but of course, all of the lifestyle changes too, and what it means to kind of live maybe independently of your family. And so, if you could tell us a little bit more about, I know you were telling us some of the upperclassmen are available as mentors and able to help some of the underclassmen, but what can help really ease that transition for students who are new to Cornell freshman year?
That's a great question. Very important. College is a huge transition, and it's especially huge if you're coming from kind of far away, which a lot of our students are. So that's actually a positive thing. I mean, there are many students who are maybe stepping on campus for the first time. They just like chose Cornell and came without having visited before. Many are first in their families to go to college. So you're really in the same boat with a lot of students who are like, wow, this is new. How do I navigate this? I'm nervous. I'm shy, potentially. And there are many options and supports to help with that transition. So one of them is orientation. So during orientation, students get to meet one another, do wonderful activities, just fun stuff, just like you're moving in and tonight we have, this barbecue or whatever it may be, and join us on the quad between the dorms. The residential life directors and also the staff overall are really supportive and aware of what's going on in their dorms and in their program houses to make sure students are feeling supported in that transition and throughout their first year and beyond. Students will be connected with a faculty advisor from their first year, so their freshman advisor. And then once they officially go into their major, they'll also have a major advisor. Plus there's peer advising galore. There's also mental health services and drop-in counseling hours and stress reduction workshops at the TATCon Center on North Campus. So there's kind of multi-layered, it's like a scaffolded support network here. And if students don't know how to access it, there's flyers, there's e-newsletters that go out. The RAs, the residential advisors in the dorms, are sharing information, reminding students what's available. There's also cultural organizations. So students who are from underrepresented minority backgrounds want to connect with others of similar backgrounds. There are organizations galore, but one just great example is that for the Latino students or Latinx students, there are 35 plus organizations focused on their different backgrounds. So everything from MECHA for Mexican American students to a Colombian students organization, Dominicans United. I mean, there's that's just a great example of the variety of organizations. And those are groups are advised by staff. There's also resource centers focused on, there's a dean focused on first generation and low income students. There's a dean focused on undocumented and documented students. There's an LGBT resource center. All of those are housed within one particular building. So students really get to know that place and can go and get their support there, but not that that's the only place, but it's a great resource center at 626 Thurston Avenue. and that's run by the Dean of Students office, so, and which interconnects that with all of the academic support. So everything is very much scaffolded. There's really a network of support here, and people are generally very nice here, and you can ask questions. It's not like a cutthroat or an elitist environment. So I think that opens up people to being able to like reach out and ask for help if they need it.
I'm so glad you mentioned that, and especially that last little snippet you mentioned about cutthroat and elitist, because I think sometimes in pop culture references and things, you know, Ivy Leagues can sometimes be painted in a light that's not necessarily representative of them. So, if you could maybe elaborate a little bit more on what specifically sets Cornell apart from Ivy Leagues or other Ivy Leagues, or what you might not know about Cornell that you would only know, you know, being a student there or really being involved there.
Well, I'm going to have a lot to say right now. I know you've already been long-winded, but I have a lot to say. Okay, so we never talk down about our peers. We work with them in different ways. We're part of the, in a way, a consortium. We kind of share certain policies and things, but otherwise, we're really just a sports league. We're very different from our Ivy peers. We're the largest. We have the largest alumni network in the world, and why that's important to students is that they have even more support and options for connection during and after their time at Cornell. I mean, they're part of this amazing Big Red family alumni network that spans the globe. But really, Cornell's larger. It's located in central upstate New York, which is gorgeous. I mean, it has kind of a taste of the city, but with this amazing, I mean, there's no other place like this. I mean, to walk across a waterfall every day your freshman year, to get to classes, see deer out on the lawn, like when you look out your window, wild turkeys, like it's awesome. You know, it's just awesome. And you can always go back to the concrete jungle if that's what you like, if you want to be in an urban environment for work and to raise your family in the future, or whatever it may be, you can do that. But Cornell was founded on being an accessible place from the start. It didn't just become diverse in 1970 or whatever it may be. I'm not saying that we always did it perfectly, and we're still continuing to see, you know, what ways we can be more inclusive. And that's a work in progress, especially the times we're living in. It's highlighting a lot of that. However, from the founding, that was the goal. Is like we were not going to let race or gender or religious affiliation or lack thereof or lack of finances determine who could come to Cornell. So that's huge. Also, what we offer, the fact that we offer the traditional liberal arts and also the applied sciences and things like landscape architecture and food science and like all these awesome things, engineering. I mean, we have it all here. And I'm actually going to share a video at the end of the conversation called Glorious to View. It was made for the 150-year anniversary. And it's a little outdated, but it's still true and it's really powerful. And it gives an overview of like really what makes Cornell unique. So I'll share that. It's also just not an elitist place. I'm not going to point fingers, but you know, there's some truth to some of what people think about some of these elite institutions. And Cornell is not like that. I mean, you will find everywhere you go, you're going to find some of those folks that have their nose up in the air. There's no avoiding that. But overall, people are extremely down to earth here. And, you know, the founding lends to that, the academic diversity lends to that. You can be in a classroom with someone wearing rubber boots who just came in from the field where they were doing like ag science, and they're next to people dressed up in business suits that are preparing for a presentation for like business or a pre-law type experience. And, you know, you have all of that every day here. If you keep your eyes open, like it's really, really amazing. There's just no place like it. So those are a few things. I could probably go on, but I'm not going to because I don't want to keep that.
Well, I know that we will definitely have some of our teens and families interested in checking out that video. So we'll make sure we get that with you before the end of our conversation so that they can dig a little bit deeper and see what really sets Cornell apart. So we've had the opportunity to talk a lot about some of the academic side of Cornell and a little bit of who is attending Cornell. But I know that our teens, one of the burning questions for them is, what do people do for fun? You know, I know you mentioned a little bit about Ithaca and the town around, and you also mentioned some of the different on-campus organizations. I also remember you said that the largest intramural sports league is at Cornell. Is that right?
Yeah, program in the nation. So you've got pickup games of all sorts, you know, it's like non-competitive, but really fun sports opportunities.
Great. So, I mean, if you could just continue to tell us a little bit more about that campus life and what the students are really getting into when they're able to take a break from studying.
Yes. So you'll notice in the video later on how this one professor, it's just a really powerful moment in the video. And he talks about how on any given day, there's someone doing cutting edge work in veterinary medicine, while someone's doing something in architecture, while someone else, all on the same campus, right? So you'll get this like awesome image of all the work that people are doing, like cutting edge, amazing work. But at the same time, you've got these 1,200 clubs and organizations that are this like vibrant, eclectic, like mix of things. Like I oftentimes tell students, oh, okay, so what are your interests? I'm like, before you even try to start a club here, go search this database. You're going to see there's probably some like-minded folks already doing that thing, no matter how quirky you think it is. And the cool thing is that whatever floats your boat, whatever kind of helps you de-stress or however you like to like party, let's just put it out there. I mean, young people want to like let loose and have fun. It doesn't have to be your traditional view of what that might look like. In fact, maybe even inappropriate behavior. It can be hanging out and like jamming on guitars, like outdoors, or in your staying up all night in your dorm and having amazing conversations and snacks, geeking out, being a part of a scientifically oriented or otherwise, maybe a literature organization that you just want to spend all your time like creatively writing with your friends. Like there's just about everything you can imagine that happens in the classroom. There's like this parallel world outside of the classroom. There's service organizations. We have a nationally acclaimed public service center. Cornell is actually, as the land-grant University of New York State, does quite a bit of outreach in New York State, but also now nationally and internationally, with the service element of engaging people with the knowledge that we gain, with the research that we do, and actually solving problems and enhancing other people's lives. So you've got water projects in Latin America. You've got educational programs in Africa. So these are things, of course, you wouldn't do in an afternoon. You do like during a spring break or even a semester or winter break. But you've got all these elements of ways to engage your interests when you're not in class. Some of them are co-curricular. They'll happen like service learning in another country. Some of them are purely just like let loose fun, intramural sports, pickup games. You can just go jogging around. Like I see people, even in like the winter, I'm like, where are these people from? They're wearing like shirts and a tank top. I'm like, what is going on here? But there's a lot of space to go and do that. Jog. We have a rock climbing wall. We have a bowling alley. There's pools. The PE classes, that could be fun, right? Oh, or not, depending on what's offered. We have over 100 PE classes, including sailing on the lake, rock climbing, that's literal rock climbing, not on our wall, but actually in the landscape around us. So there's so much. There's a prison education program to actually help educate prisoners so that they can be reintegrated into society and pursue even maybe beyond. Some of them have come and attended Cornell eventually. So there's just so much. I could go on and I won't. But there's a lot of layers. There's cultural organizations, religiously affiliated organizations, political groups spanning the range. That's actually a last note I'll make. This is a place where you can still have healthy dialogue and debate. Not everyone thinks the same. Not everyone lives the same. I think that's really important, especially in the time we're living in. And actually, intergroup dialogue project is something that's really powerful. And Cornell has its own project. All first-year students engage in IDP, where they really grapple with the isms from the first time they walk on campus practically, so they can prepare themselves to really engage in meaningful ways with people who are different, because you're going to meet the world here at Cornell. No matter how you slice and dice it, in the classroom, in clubs and organizations, in the dorms, you're going to meet people that are very different from you, or that look like you, but that think very differently from you. So that's in a nutshell. There's really something for everyone. Musical groups, 10-minute play competitions. There's art studios and musical rooms that you can just use. You don't have to be a part of the music school or like an art major. So really the sky's the limit. You don't have to have mastered that activity or that hobby before you come. You can learn new things. I mean, time is limited. So I do suggest that before you kind of have a sense of what's offered and have a kind of a plan, but don't have it too planned, because then you won't be prepared for the amazing surprises and opportunities that come. There's also, if you really want to, we have a campus to campus bus that goes to New York City, because we have a strong presence in New York City with our tech campus and our medical school and our alumni club. And the bus goes down directly to those locations and drops off. A lot of times Cornell will actually offer like $40 tickets for the bus and for a Broadway show on a Saturday. things like that. So we're not so far away that we can't take advantage of some amazing urban opportunities as well.
Wow, that's really incredible. I mean, it definitely sounds like you will never be bored if you go to Cornell. Between all of those outdoor opportunities you described, I think we would definitely have some teens interested in those, as well as the opportunity to go to New York City and see a Broadway show. And for that ticket point, I mean, you really can't beat it. So it doesn't sound like they will ever be bored.
Sports activities too. I forgot sports and Greek life and all. I mean, there's so much more. So sorry, I meant to mention those, but
no, that's so funny. Great minds. I was just going to ask about sports and Greek life and what that looks like at Cornell.
Awesome. So only about a third of our students participate in Greek life. So it definitely doesn't take over the show. When I was in high school, I didn't have a lot of opportunities to visit schools, but one of the schools I got into was very Greek. And I really felt like, wow, I'm not going to fit in here if I don't join a sorority. And I don't really feel like doing that. Cornell's not like that at all. And in fact, it throws like the whole Greek life kind of like image on its head because they're pre-professional organizations, they're service Greek organizations, there are culturally affiliated Greek organizations. So there's a variety. There are co-ed ones that are just like business related, for instance, or service related. And it actually, Cornell is the home of the Alphas, the first Black male fraternity in the nation. So there's really a strong Greek kind of history and legacy. However, it's diverse and it's not the only thing going. So you don't have to join. You don't have to feel left out if you're not a part of that. And then the sports, there are 37 Division I sports at Cornell, men's and women's. There's also club level, which is funded as well. And students actually go on the bus and travel and compete and all of that. It's just not Division I. And then once again, there's that intramural program, which is very much like informal, pick up soccer games, Quidditch, like kind of a wide variety, tennis, whatever it is that you want to join, just to do like fun, like low key sports. So that's in a nutshell. That's the Greek and the athletic life.
Which of your athletic programs on the varsity level are maybe the strongest, and also which ones would be the most attended by students?
So the strongest and most attended is hockey, because we get a lot of Canadian hockey players. Hockey is big in the Northeast. They say I have not yet had an opportunity to go to a game. I would like to. I will eventually. But hockey is huge at Cornell. It's not the only thing, of course, but it's really, really big. And yeah, so that would be what it is. But, our other sports do well. Football, not so much. It's not like the strongest team. They do okay. Basketball is pretty good. Soccer. And we do compete against the other Ivy League institutions as well as others. So it's cool. Sometimes they'll give like free tickets. I think the freshmen actually get discounted or free tickets at different points as well to be involved. And it's fun to see the community come out. But the cool thing is in your friend group, you'll have friends that are in athletics and friends who are in like performing arts and other things that they love. And I've seen it where it's like, you can even see it on social media, students like supporting each other in their different events and their different activities, and going to that fashion show or going over here to that sustainability competition or whatever it may be. And it's really cool to see that. It's not a cliquish place in the way I've seen at other institutions.
Great. Yeah. No, I love that. And I love the interconnectedness that you describe because definitely, just like our teens here at the club, they all have diverse interests. And just because they like one thing, it doesn't put them in a box. I love to hear that also lives at Cornell. So let's see. I had a question about, what was it? I was going to come back to academics for a moment. Let me see my questions here. So I guess the typical course load. What's a typical course load that a student carries? What might be an average of time spent in classes versus studying for classes? If you could tell us a little bit more about that.
Great question. So as you all may be aware, college scheduling is very different from high school. You get to choose your classes. You get to choose the time of day you do classes. If you want to knock out your classes early in the morning and be done by noon, you can do that. You can choose to have Fridays off or Mondays off, depending on the flow of your schedule. There's really a lot of flexibility, and you don't spend that many hours in class. So really the onus or the responsibility is on your shoulders to ensure that you manage your time well. And at Cornell, we offer tons of time management workshops and support to kind of learn how to do that if you're not the strongest time manager. But it's really important that you balance that out, because you're not going to be going to tons of hours of classes each week unless potentially you're a science major. Then you'll have labs on top of classes, which will be a little more time intensive. But the majority of your time is free time. But I say free time because it's not really free. You have to schedule it out and make sure that you don't get so caught up in everything else that you don't have time to study, because Cornell's challenging. So you will have, like, from the first semester, actually the beginning of each semester, there's a huge club and organization fair that students go to. You have to be really careful not to overextend yourself and like join 25 clubs, because you will be tempted to go to all those meetings and are fun and not do your work, and you have to be really careful about that. If you need support, there's tutoring. Like I mentioned, the TACCON Center earlier, that's an amazing center, and they're really branching out into the social and having like stress relief workshops and all kinds of different elements of what freshmen may need. But like their core is like offering writing support, the ability to print papers in the middle of the night, drop in counseling hours if you're feeling homesick. Like that's what they're about. And then there's the Learning Strategy Center, which does a lot of the time management workshops and study skills workshops. And if you need support also, sometimes people come to Cornell with like a 504 plan if they have a learning disability or a physical disability or another kind of learning challenge. This is definitely still a place for you, and there's support for you. And so you can get those additional resources to help you manage your time, and maybe get note-taking support or other resources to help you be successful.
Very cool. Good. So I think one of my final few questions here, we're nearing the end of our time, but we still have plenty of time to share. And I want to make sure too, Alyssa, that you have the opportunity to share anything that I didn't get to touch on. But a question I had as well was just, what traditions are unique at Cornell that are kind of, I guess, really popular amongst the student body?
Thank you for asking that. So Cornell is a place of many, many traditions, and they really draw like everyone. So a few of those are Dragon Day, which is at the end of March, and it originated as a competition between the architecture students and the engineers to who would design like the best dragon, and then they would actually like duel it out, like and like set things on fire. But then of course that became like a fire hazard, and so they don't we're not allowed to do that anymore. But the whole campus like dresses up like in dragon gear, and it comes out, and it's like a big to do at the end of March, typically before like the students go for a spring break. So that they can just decompress and have fun. It's kind of a nerdy tradition because it's actually still designed like the I was going to say dinosaur. The dragon is actually still designed, and it's like humongous, and there's all this like intricate design and mathematical scientific calculation to make it what it is, and everybody really like rallies around that. Our hockey team, the Line of Faithful, it's called the Line of Faithful. That's a tradition. There's a lot of funny and fun things that happen as a result of that, especially when we compete with particular university that's in Cambridge, Massachusetts, that was founded in like but yeah, some would say it kind of like there's some stinky, like not so nice things that have like fish get thrown and things like that. But anyway, we won't go there, but that's like a lot of fun. And then also Slope Day. So Slope Day is a huge festival with like mainline acts like I'm trying to think, Chance the Rapper, Steve Aoki, the DJ. There's many others that have come, and they perform, and there's food, and like it's just this huge festival on the on Live Slope, which is like the western part of campus. It's this big slope where people just have fun and dance and hang out before finals. So it's between the last day of class and finals. And then there's other like small traditions that different units and departments do. Like we do a welcome back barbecue for our underrepresented and Christian students, where we just welcome them back, and also new students to get to know one another and resources on campus and just celebrate them. So there's a lot of different things that go on. It's actually, I mean, once again, so much going on. It's hard to keep track of the calendar, but there's a lot of fun to be had here. A lot of traditions.
Great. Sounds super fun. So I think, I mean, I'm nearing kind of the end of my list of questions. I feel like we've definitely had a really nicely rounded view of Cornell, but I'm sure there are some things that you want to share with us that we didn't maybe even think about to ask. So what else should we know about Cornell?
Well, I think something we haven't talked about, we really covered again, like a lot of things, but is admissions. And I want to be sure to
Yes.
leave students with some key things to think about and know. Number one is that it's okay to ask questions. And I and my team are here especially to help students that may not be as familiar with Cornell or with college in general navigate the selective admissions and financial aid processes. So be it at Cornell or if ultimately you decide Cornell's not a fit for you, we're there to answer questions and be an extra resource for you and your families. And so that's just really important to know. A lot of times students, especially those who will be their first in their family to go to college, tend to be kind of not as outspoken or like, you know, asking questions because they may feel shyer about the process, being that they're not as familiar. I encourage you to ask the questions, even be a squeaky wheel. We don't track demonstrated interest at Cornell. It's not like you have to email us to show us that you're interested, but we're there to answer questions. Email, participate in our events. If you get invites, I will put a sign up link here shortly, or I might email it to you, Anna. I don't think I have access to post anything here. But so that you can get on our list and be able to actually receive information in the future. We send out a lot of tips. We have an incredible blog site with like top 10 things to know about X, Y, and Z, and essential things for ninth graders to know, 10th graders, different grade levels. We're here as a resource. Another point, and as I'm going to email Miss Anna right now with the link to the sign up so I don't forget. But the video as well, Anna. But another thing to keep in mind is that you need to choose one college or school amongst the 8 that are available. So a good start is to try to examine where you feel most at home. Which ones, like look at each website, because you're probably getting emails from the different ones. Because at Cornell is a hard place, so the different offices of admission will be emailing you and saying, hey, look at us over here. It's still all from Cornell, or it's all from Cornell, but they kind of want you to apply to that college, not this other college within Cornell. But it's all about you finding out which one is the best fit. And it's going to be really important because you want to show that fit in your application. And so a key way to do that is by using the supplemental essay. So the Cornell supplement, you have the common application, which goes to all your schools. That has the personal statement in it. It's the essay that you don't want to mention any colleges in particular. You just keep it general. But then you might have a supplement for each college or university you're applying to. With Cornell, that's the case. With others, it may be different. And there's an essay in there that asks you specifically why you're a fit for the College of Architecture, Art, and Planning, or the College of Arts and Sciences, or the College of Engineering. And you want to take your time with that, because though it's short, it will be reviewed by the admission committee in that college, and they really want to see that you can envision yourself at that college within the greater university. So you want to be able to talk about particular programs that appeal to you within that college, particular professors you may want to work with, volunteer and research opportunities that you've learned about within that college that you're excited about. It's not a place to say, I love Cornell. It's a place to say, I love Cornell and I want to be in the College of Business for X, Y, and Z reason. And it's really important that you don't miss that opportunity to do a good job with that. Another thing is in the Common App that goes to all your schools, they're going to be adding a COVID-19 impact question, which allows you to talk about how the pandemic has impacted you and your family. And so, you can use that section to talk about some of the obstacles you've had to overcome recently, some of the challenges to your application process, to your education overall. But I'd encourage you not to use your whole application to talk about that, because we know and we're compassionate about the pandemic and how it's impacting so many people, right? And you don't want it to kind of steal your thunder, like steal your opportunity to say, yes, this is going on. Yes, I have hardships, maybe even other obstacles and hardships. In the additional information section, you can talk about those. But you don't want to miss the opportunity to say, yes, all that, but this is who I am. This is what I care about. this is what I'm excited about for my future, right? You don't want to let that overshadow that. At the same time, you don't want to not mention obstacles you've overcome. A lot of times, underrepresented students and first-gen students tend not to share the whole picture because maybe they don't feel like it's important, or some people might feel a little bit ashamed of different things, limitations or challenges. We want to see all of that. We want to see if you have to take care of your younger siblings or work a job, and that means you don't get to do as many extracurriculars. We're not going to penalize you for that. In fact, that may give a boost in a way because it shows your character, it shows your maturity, it shows your compassion and your desire to give, and help to your family, right? So we want to see that full picture. Be sure to use your application to show all those different aspects of who you are, because we cannot consider anything that we're just not aware of, right? So that's really important. And then once again, you want to get your ducks in a row. You want to organize yourself too. Actually, I didn't mention that earlier, but I'm going to mention it now. It's just whatever process you use, be it a Google spreadsheet or an old school list, folders in your email, whatever works for you. Be sure you're organizing your college process because it can get really crazy really fast. It's like another class senior year, basically, because you have to be sure you're meeting deadlines, if there's scholarships and other things you want to apply for. Financial aid, the prior year financial aid process opens on October 1st, so you can start getting things together, talking with your parents and guardians about what that will require. We also offer workshops to help you navigate that process because we require the FAFSA, which is the free application for federal student aid, and also the CSS profile, which goes more in depth on your finances, so we know how much money Cornell can give you from our funds. And so it's, all of those things are pretty detailed, and you don't want to like bunch everything up and like miss deadlines. And we don't want you to be stressed either. We try to take the stress out of these different, processes as much as we can. And the better thing you can do is to be organized. I am going to send this email right now to Ms. Anna right now so that she can post these things in the in there. And I'm actually looking for Cornell's supplemental essay questions. I'm going to look for these right now. I just had them up and now I can't find them. But so that for those of you who are rising seniors, you can start to look at those because you can prepare those earlier on this summer. The common application opens up around August 1st typically, but you can kind of start to prepare some of the elements that you'll include in your application when you feel comfortable, like in the next month or so. I know a lot of people are still very much decompressing from all that's been happening over the past several months. It's been a lot, and right now it's a lot. So no rush on it, but at least you'll have everything so that you can start to get prepared to do it. So I just sent the link. I sent the student listserv to sign up to get on our database. I sent the Cornell video called Glorious to View. It's a short 3-minute video. And I also sent the supplemental essay questions so that you can see those.
Okay, great. As soon as I get those, I will go ahead and make sure we have them posted here so that everybody can access them and get all of that pertinent info, and maybe read some info too that'll really give them that slight edge to help them really stand out amongst all of those applications. So speaking of which, are there, any tips or tricks that you'd really like to let our teens know about that might give them that foot up on the competition?
That's a great question. So first thing first, before I forget, I forgot to put my email in that email to you. So it's real easy for students to remember. It's diversity@cornell.edu. That's how you reach our diversity outreach team. And once again, you don't have to be an underrepresented minority student, a student of color to email that email address. For those that are mostly, or their families are mostly Spanish speaking and they prefer that, we are looking into offering bilingual application workshops because our team offers application workshops where we go in depth over the Common App process in financial aid. So if you get on our listserv, you'll be able to hear about the English language ones and the bilingual ones that are coming up later this summer and into the fall. So we actually give you tips. But the tips I usually share are, number one, be yourself. So a lot of times students will ask us, well, what classes do I need to take to get into Cornell or to get into a highly selective university? What activities do I need to do? And we say, you need to take the most challenging classes that you're comfortable with taking. and so that you're prepared for the academic rigor. And in terms of the extracurricular activities, you really need to be doing what most excites you. Like I said before, there's no traditional like profile of a student. We do seek leaders, but leadership is a lot of different things. That's actually another link I'll send. I'll find it real quick and send it. I wrote a blog about the different faces of leadership. Not everyone feels comfortable being in front of a crowd and being the student body president, right? Some people lead and make impact and influence from behind the scenes. And so, highlighting that and being proud of, if you're helping your family, right? That you're leading. You're taking a leadership role in your family. And so I will find that eventually. I'm going to look for it right now and get that to her because I think it will help you understand and not underestimate yourself if you're not that typical profile of what you think you need to be to get into Cornell or another highly selective school. Another tip is to really, once again, take a lot of time and care with that supplemental essay that'll be college specific. And this really is a great tip for other colleges you may be considering. So a lot of times they will ask, why are you applying to X college? Why do you see yourself here? How are you going to maximize on the resources? So kind of take that mindset. Just because an essay is short does not mean that it's not important. In fact, for Cornell, it can really make or break your application. So if you have questions moving forward about that, don't be shy or embarrassed to ask about that. So I'm emailing this link about leadership to Miss Anna right now. And I am going to have her share it so that maybe you'll find some encouragement with that. That's another tip. If you don't apply, you're not going to ever know if you would be able to attend Cornell or any other institution that's like a dream school for you potentially. And so don't tell yourself no. Okay, don't tell yourself no. That's a great example, a great kind of word of encouragement I got from a mentor several years back. And that's what's allowed me to access opportunities like where I am right now. Like I never thought I would be working at a place like Cornell. Like what? Me? I'm a first gen college grad. I don't have a master's degree. It's actually in progress right now. But I didn't have one coming in. I'm sure the competition was fierce, but I put myself out there. I took risks along the way. And you need to do that too. There is rejection in life. You're going to experience it. Miss Anna and I both are shaking our heads. We've been told no, probably more than we can count. But the person who doesn't apply and doesn't try doesn't even get a chance at it. So there are fee waivers if you need to have your application fee taken away. And you just put yourself out there, okay? And then the other piece is follow up. Don't assume that the colleges and schools or universities that you're applying to will all be on top of you, like following up and saying, hey, you're missing this. Cornell does that. We send like 5 emails to people and saying, hey, you're missing stuff. We really need you to complete your application. How can we help you do that? But not every place will do that. So be really, really aware of that and check your spam box. Consistently check your spam box. That's something that I've noticed over the years as a former college counselor and also as an admission officer, that a lot of important emails go to students' spam. And then they don't realize it, and then it's too late to submit whatever it was that was missing or to apply for financial aid or whatever it may be. So FYI about that, check your spam. I think that's it for now. I hope that's been helpful. I really, really do. Just encouragement to be yourself, ask questions. You're not alone in this process.
Absolutely. I think that's wonderful advice. I think it's really easy to get lost in focusing on what admissions counselors want to hear. Same with applying for a job, thinking about what the company wants to hear or the organization. But absolutely, great advice to just focus on yourself and highlight the parts that make you you. And definitely the piece too about just being organized and following up and staying on top of those deadlines. I mean, skills that will certainly last a lifetime. So definitely really great suggestions. Thank you so much, Alyssa. I think it'll be helpful.
Miss Anna, I forgot one really important thing as you're speaking, it like popped in, is testing. So what made me think about it is I want to be sure students are encouraged to apply even if they don't have the strongest scores, because we definitely have students at Cornell that just never tested well, but they were really great students. A students took the AP classes and honors or dual enrollment, dual college classes, were phenomenal in high school. They just didn't test well. And something to note that I meant to mention earlier, and I'm sorry I didn't, is that in light of COVID-19, we understand that college access and test prep and college prep is very limited for many students. And so some students may not be able to take the test. And so we've gone testing optional for this year. And so this is an opportunity for students to really put themselves forward, shine, fill in any gaps of information, know that we're going to be holistic or look at the full picture of who you are, try to put the full picture there, of course. And, put yourself out there. You just don't know. You never know. A lot of times it's the students who are told, oh, you shouldn't apply, by people that they know in their lives or by other students, or just believe they could get in that end up getting in, end up coming and being so successful. And so just know that. Yeah, I just wanted to put that out there as a last comment.
No, that's very important and very helpful to know that, yeah, the tests may not really be considered. So definitely, put yourself out there. Like Alyssa said, you don't know if you don't try. And it sounds like you all, again, have so many resources at the fingertips, not just of your students, but also those who are applying to be admitted to Cornell. So we definitely appreciate that. And I know we over here who are helping facilitate program at the club, we will want to take a look at that as well and see if we can utilize those resources to give our kids the best shot and best opportunity. So well, yeah, it's about our time for today. Alyssa, thank you so much again for joining us today. It's really been super informative and interesting to hear all about what you offer and all about your own kind of suggestions and tools and tricks to help get that foot up in your application. So I'm having some issues right now trying to post directly to Facebook. So once we end our conversation, I'll get right on Facebook and I'll drop all those links. I think the video might have gone through, but I still have maybe the writing supplement and the blog that I want to get up there. So we'll make sure we share that with everybody. Otherwise, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure. And I hope that, we can stay in touch. And if there are any resources or things that you think would be helpful for our teens, we are definitely here for them and would love to connect. So
thank you. This has been so much fun, and I hope we'll do it again. And just so you know, if students want the resources and information, they can sign up for our listserv. We also have a counselor e-newsletter that we send out monthly that we can get the different Boys and Girls Club staff members that are present today or not signed up to receive by email. We also do counselor sessions where we just do forums to hear kind of what the challenges are and questions that a lot of families are posing right now and in general. So I definitely look forward to collaborating moving forward with the Albany location and with any others that would like to stay connected. So, and my email is diversity@cornell.edu if anyone wants to reach out, students or staff.
Great. I'm going to go ahead and get that on the Facebook page. Thank you again, Alyssa. It's been a pleasure. I'm sure you're very busy, and we certainly appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to join us here in Albany, Georgia. So take care. I'll make sure I'll get those links dropped, and stay safe.
Thank you. You too. I hope you stay safe and healthy. Blessings to you and all the students and staff here today. And I look forward to working with you moving forward. Thanks for this wonderful opportunity.
Awesome. Thank you.
Bye.